Well, guys, I usually don't make videos about topics like this, topics that cover self-defense, that cover tools for self-defense, security, and things like that. But with everything going on right now in the world, it's a very dangerous place, even though a lot of people don't want to admit that it is. And even if it wasn't for, the rioting and the looting and wars breaking out everywhere, there's always crime. There's always people trying to take what you have, trying to steal what you have, just trying to cause violence, trying to do things to get their drug fix or whatever because they don't want to work. And so that's one of the main reasons that people do what they do, because they want to take what you have for themselves. And if you get in the way, they will take you out too. That's why we have home invasions and things like that. There's, you go online and look, and there's all kinds of home invasions that have happened, and they continue to happen. And as the economy gets worse, crime goes up, more home invasions, more things happen, even kidnapping for ransom. If you go, like in South America and places like that, a lot of that happens, especially when the economy pretty much collapses. And it may not be for a lot of wealth, it may be just kidnapping for food, for substance, they do in these other places when the economy crashes. And I see our economy here in the United States heading that way very, very quickly. And a lot of people disagree with that. I'm not going to get into all that, but it's not really looking good with everything that's going on right now. It looks like everything is pretty much burning right now with the United States and actually the world. Everything seems to be on fire. And being able to defend yourself and having the tools to do it with, we'll talk about that here in a minute, is extremely important in my opinion. But one of the main things you can do is to make yourself not look like an easy target. Criminals prefer easy targets. If your house looks easy and your neighbor's house looks strong, looks difficult to penetrate, looks dangerous, they'll come to your house. So you want your house to actually look like it's more difficult to get into. It's more difficult to rob. It's more difficult for a home invasion because you have a security system. You have a sign up in the yard that says you have a security system. You have some stickers, on your doors and windows that says you have a security system in your home. You have cameras up. And if you can make these real and actually have a security system and actual cameras up watching everything and recording everything, that is the best situation to be in as far as that part of security goes. But even if you can't afford it, you can buy a $20 sign that says you have a security system, put it in the yard, put some stickers up, put some those decoy security cameras up, and that pretty much covers it almost as good as actually having the system, because the criminals will see that and they will be unsure and they will want to go to the next house on down the street or somewhere else that looks more easy to rob, loot, home invade or whatever, because criminals prefer easy targets. That's why, you'll see 3 or 4 thugs trying to rob, an old woman or old man or one guy they think is going to be an easy target. So even if yourself, if you look like an easy target, you'll be chosen for whatever by these criminals over, someone who looks like a more difficult target. So you want to make yourself look like a hard target. And then the criminals hopefully will see you as a hard target, your home, your vehicle, you personally, and move on to someone else. That's the first thing. The second thing is you need to be able to, defend yourself. You need to have the tools to defend yourself with. And you need to have the skills and the willingness to use those tools to actually defend yourself. If you have a gun, for example, and you can't use it when it's needed, or you don't know how to use it efficiently, then you're just about as well off not to even have one, to be honest about it. Actually, you are better off not to have one and to have something else. We'll talk about alternatives here in a minute. But a lot of people actually can't actually pull the trigger on anyone. Or at least they say they can't. They might if their life was completely between them and the other person they knew was going to be killed, then they might be able to. But a lot of people will still say they can't. They say they'd rather lay down and just take whatever, because the reward will be in heaven. And I believe in self-defense. I believe in defending myself. And if I need to, I had no trouble at all, pulling the trigger several times to end that threat. So you need to be willing, you need to be able, and you need to have the skills to actually defend yourself and use the tools that you have. But if you don't want to have a gun, if you're restricted against firearms, then there's some alternatives. And having a baseball bat or a stick under your bed isn't the best option. I guess it beats nothing by about this much, but you want to have something where you don't have to actually go into physical contact with aggressors. You want to have something to repel those aggressors quickly, at a distance away from you, because if you get in there and you start with a stick or a baseball bat and there's 4 or 5 people, they have a gun, they have something else, you're going to be in a world of hurt. And criminals don't usually, like I said, come to homes to invade or on the street or anything else unless you're a weak looking target. And they will still they will have weapons because they want to make sure they don't get hurt. And if all you have is a stick or a baseball bat, more than likely you're going to get hurt very, very seriously. That's not a proper defensive tool, in your home. If you want to have something in your home, but you don't want to have a gun, then I suggest something like this. This right here is probably one of the best things you can have in your home for home defense if you don't want to have a gun. I suggest getting a firearm, getting training, having this also, but a gun definitely is a great option just in case you actually do need it. But this right here is far better than a stick, a baseball bat, a harsh word telling people to get out of your house. And this Fox 5.3 is very, very good. You get this off of Amazon. You can see this is a big can. It has the pull here, and then you just push it down here. It comes with a red thing right here, and you have to take that out first. Be sure to do that because it won't work. So now this is ready to go. Just rip this out of here and then spray. And this is good for a lot of things, and this will repel most criminals. And if you have this in your vehicle, that's good. If you're a truck driver, like over-the-road truck driver, and can't actually carry a gun in your truck because of company policies and things like that, then this is definitely a good option. I mean, this has a lot of spray, and this stuff is pretty awful when you get sprayed with this. Fox 5.3. This is, I think, about $50. I'll put a link in the description box below to Amazon. You can get this. But you can see this is a big can. This is some of the best that you can get, the most effective you can get. And this is good for, home defense. Like I said, a gun is better, but if you don't want to have a gun in your home, this right here is probably your best option, in my opinion. You have multiple blasts with this. This will reach out a pretty good distance, 15, 20 feet. This can spray multiple people, and incapacitate those people. They can be able to see. It gets in the lungs, gets in the nose. It's really, really painful. It burns the skin. This stuff is pretty awful. So if you don't want to have a gun, this right here, in my opinion, is the best thing you can get for home defense. Or if you do have a gun, still you get this because you might not need to go completely to actually shooting someone. Depends on the situation. You could have, a drunk relative at your house that don't want to leave, that's getting violent. And you don't want to boom, and you don't want to go hands-on because maybe they're bigger than you are and they don't want to leave your house. Maybe they're doing things you don't want them there. And you can use something like this to make them leave. I wouldn't spray this in the house except if you had to, because if you spray this in the house, it's going to be horrible for everyone for a pretty good little while actually. But if you need to, this right here is one of the best things, besides a handgun. Now let's talk about handguns. If you are comfortable, have training, and are willing to use a firearm in self-defense if needed, then this is something to definitely look into. And nothing wrong with revolvers. If you feel more comfortable with a revolver, then get that. There's no need to get fancy. You just want it to be reliable, and you want it to have enough actual power to stop a target, to stop an aggressor. So if you want to have a revolver, something like this, it's good because it's just a 5-shot revolver, but 5 shots will do a whole lot if you know how to use it. Plus, it can be reloaded very, very quickly if you have the speed loaders for this. This is also good for concealed carry. This is a pocket holster. I carry this a lot in my front pocket. The holster keeps it upright, keeps it moving around, and keeps it where you reach in and grab, your handgun. This is a Smith & Wesson Airweight 38 revolver. Very, very good. Very lightweight. Smith & Wesson Airweight, 5-shot, and I keep it loaded with hollow points plus P, 125 grain hollow points. Very, very effective at close range, and it's definitely a good all-around handgun to have. If you want to up the ante some, then something like, you know, this Glock right here is excellent for home defense. This has a 32 round magazine, but it also used the Glock 17 magazines, but 32 rounds in your home. It's definitely something I think you should have. Have a couple of these in the nightstand beside your bed. Just to tell this has a light on this also. I know a lot of people will say, oh, a light can be used both ways. Someone sees a light, they'll shoot at you. That's true, more than likely. However, you need a light to be able to identify your target. If you have teenagers at home, for example, when you hear something at night, maybe they've snuck out and they're trying to sneak in. And if you just start shooting without knowing what's going on, you may kill your own son, daughter. Not good. So you need to be able to identify your target. And you don't go around, you know, with the light shining all the time in a situation like that. If you need to identify your target, you would hit it very quickly. Just hit it very quickly and identify the target, and the light cuts off, you get a different position. You don't want to stand in the same position that you hit the light. You don't hit the light and you stand in the same position like an idiot with the light on. That could get you killed if it was, you know, someone who actually wants to kill you or do you harm. But you need to be able to identify, you know, your target, the thing you're shooting at. So light is extremely important. You can have one on your gun, or you can have one that isn't on your gun. You know, you can reach out around the room, around the corner, and shine. You can use, you know, the light. You can look way up here like this, keep yourself away from the light. All kinds of things you can use a light for in ways that makes it where it's not as dangerous to you. Like I said, if you have to use a light, hit it, turn it off. Hit it, turn it off. Something else I recommend is to have good sights on your handgun, on all guns for that matter, on all your firearms, because you need good sights. And you want to have night sights. Sights that actually glow in the dark and you see. You know, you can line your sights up kind of on the target, especially your front sight. I like these ghost ring sights you can see here, and I have these on all of my Glocks, the ghost ring sight. But this right here is a good handgun. This is a Glock 34, 9mm, 32 round magazine plus one in the chamber. So it's definitely one of the most formidable handguns you can get for home defense. This isn't for concealed carry, obviously, because of the size, but for home defense, this right here is great. If you want a good all-around handgun, then, you know, the Glock Model 19, like this one, is probably one of the best. I mean, there's other guns, I'm not saying it's the best handgun, but it's one of the best you can get. I mean, there's others that are just as good. I'm not saying that, because I always get these people in the comments when I mention anything about firearm selection, and they will go off, blah, 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 mine is better. It might be. I mean, the Glock is good, though. Glock is reliable. Glock's easy to use, and the Glock 19 is the right size. Actually, you can see here it's not very big, it's not very heavy, 15 round magazine. So if you want a good all-around handgun that's good for, you know, concealed carry, good for in your home, good for in the vehicle, then this is probably one of the best all-around choices you can get, is this Glock Model 19, in my opinion. And guys, this is my most carried concealed carry weapon, is this Glock right here in this holster. This is a Glock 34, or 43, I mean. It is a good little handgun. It has a single stack magazine, so it doesn't hold as many rounds as the Glock 19, but it is a lot thinner, a lot smaller, as you can see here. And you can see here I have ghost ring sights on this one also. So I put the same sights on all of my Glocks that way. You know, they all look the same when I'm looking over the slide. You won't have time to use your sights usually in a self-defense situation, but maybe you can. Maybe it's a situation where you might need to. So having good sights, ghost ring sights actually line up very quickly, in my opinion, on a handgun. And this holster here, as you can see, you can carry a spare magazine in there also. And it's a good concealed carry handgun. You can also carry this in, I put it here somewhere, here we go. a pocket holster like this, like I showed the Smith & Wesson Airweight a minute ago. You can carry this also in a pocket holster, put that in your front pocket, and it's difficult to see that because, you know, it kind of breaks up the outline, it holds it up straight, and that's one of the best ways actually to carry it. Concealed is in your front pocket, in my opinion. It's out of the way, no one can see it, and it's right there, easy to defend. You can put your hand in your pocket if you need to, and not look like you got your hand on a gun, actually. So this here is pretty awesome. And guys, I almost forgot, you know, I mentioned this spray, but you can also get this in smaller cans. That is good to carry, you know, on your person or in your vehicle. This right here, same thing as this. So this is a lot smaller, as you can see the difference in the size here. This is a lot easier to carry. You can put it in your pocket to carry this, actually. Carry this on your, in a belt, on your belt in a holster like this, and have it with you all the time, because if you can actually avoid shooting a person in self-defense, you're better off. You know, if they have a weapon, they have a gun or a knife or a club, and you have a gun or this, use the gun. Don't use this in a situation. But if you can use this safely to get away, then use this. It's a lot less legal hassle, but you need to have enough common sense to know what the threat warrants. If you need to, you know, use a firearm, don't hesitate to do that because it can save your life. But if you don't need to, you know, if it's someone that's maybe bigger than you that is trying to be aggressive, this is good. If they have a weapon, you know, you might need something else besides this. Even though this will take a lot of people down to a distance, but someone with a gun, you spray them with this, they're going to be doing this still yet, and you still might get hit. So, you know, if you do use this, you want to get out of the way from where you were at as quickly as possible. But you got to know what the situation is and analyze it very quickly and figure out, you know, which one you should use. But having both gives you options. That's what I'm saying. Gives you options depending on the situation. All right, guys. Now let's talk about long guns. We've been talking about OC spray. We've been talking about handguns. We talked a little bit about lights. We've talked a little bit about tactics and what to do in situations. Another tactic I almost forgot. Keep your doors locked in your vehicle. If you're in your vehicle and you're driving, keep your doors locked. Because, you know, if you stop at a red light or if you go into a parking place at a store, someone could come out and grab your door, get it open, and you're right there. You don't want that. Keep your doors locked when you're inside your vehicle. Also, if you're like at a red light or a stoplight, you want to leave enough room between you and the car in front of you. You know, the car here's in front of you as the light stopped. Instead of going up like this, like most people do, as close as they can possibly get, if something happens, they can't escape right there. You know, someone could try to box you in. The car in front could be working with someone behind, and they could try to box you in. So you want to leave enough space. And not only that, you know, if you stopped, you're stopped. And a lot of people will stop, doors unlocked on their cell phone, and someone runs up, opens the door, and jumps in. You don't want that to happen. You want to be able to, like I said, keep your doors locked, but have enough space left when you and the car in front of you. That way if something happens, you can take off. You can get out of the way. You won't be trapped. You won't be boxed in. So always remember to leave at least one car length between you and the car or an automobile in front of you at any stoplights or anything like that. Stop signs, stop lights, whatever. Leave space to be able to get out and maneuver if you need to. All right, let's talk about long guns. You might not need, you know, a long gun. It's just something extra to have if you want one, have the money to get one. And for pure self-defense, especially if you have, you know, a Glock handgun like this or Glock Model 19 like this, having something like this Ruger right here is a great option, because this will use the same ammunition as the Glocks will. It'll use the same magazine as the Glocks do. What I have in this right now is the 15-round magazine, or 17-round magazine from the Glock 17. This will also work in the Glock Model 19. This will work in the Glock 17, the Glock 34. This will work in several different Glocks. This is the Ruger. It's a takedown right here. You can see it comes apart, so you can put this in the backpack or whatever. But this uses the same magazines. So you can use a 32-round magazine in this. So when you buy magazines, you just buy one type magazine, and it will fit your rifle and your handgun. You buy one type of ammunition that you can use in your rifle and your handgun. The only thing I don't like about this is it's heavy. It's heavy, but it's not really an issue if you're using this for self-defense in your home. Not gonna be carrying it a lot, no way. And the extra weight actually helps with the recoil. You can get really quick follow-up shots with this. I mean, pow, 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 15 rounds, 17 rounds, 15, 32 round magazine. You can pretty much empty that right on target because of the low recoil of this 9mm. And it also has ghost ring sights, which I like quite a bit. I have a red dot sight here on this also, but you don't really need it. These sights here are good, and I like having this, but you can also see through this, and use the sights also, so it's a good backup option. This, you can actually change the slide over to this side. So if you're left-handed, it'll be on this side. So that's also something. Or if you just prefer it on the other side, you can change it easily. As you can see here, the ejection port will still be on the same side, but your lever here will be on this side or this side. And also, you can also change the insert in this and use, like I said, the Glock magazines is what I use. Or if you have the Ruger handguns, you can also use Ruger magazines in this. So it's very versatile. And I've had this several years, and no failures to feed, no misfires, anything like that. Very good for home defense. Now, if you want one of the most potent firearms for home defense, in my opinion, get something like this 12-gauge shotgun. A lot of people can't handle a 12-gauge shotgun, especially with buckshot and slugs and things like that. And that's what you need for home defense. Number 4 buckshot, double-aught buckshot, maybe some slugs. Shot shells like number 6, number 4s work pretty decent actually, but especially if you live like in an apartment or something like that, you don't want to over-penetrate like you would with buckshot and slugs, and that could be an option. You can get lower recoil rounds. I mean, the shotgun is very, very versatile. And this is the Mossberg 590. You can see I have Streamlight on this also. And this is very handy if you need to identify your target. Like right here, you've got your switch right there. And like I said, you want to turn it on, turn it off. Turn it on, identify target really, really quickly, turn it off and move. You don't want to keep shining your light and stand in the same position like a dumbbell, because that can get you definitely killed. If you know what the target is, then don't use the light. If you can see with your eyes what the target is, because it will make you a target to these other people who you're trying to defend yourself against, and they have a gun, they'll shoot right at that light. So if you can see and know who it is, identify without using the light, then do that. Or if you live by yourself and you have no one else that could be coming in at night, like a child or something, like a teenager that snuck out trying to sneak back in, and you live by yourself, then you don't need a light as much, because anyone coming in your house is going to be a criminal. So, you don't really need a light in that situation. You have to look at your situation, your current situation, how you are, where you are, what you're comfortable with, and get that and learn how to use that to be able to defend yourself and your property, defend yourself when you're out doing whatever. But a good shotgun like this one right here is definitely formidable inside for home defense. 9 rounds of double-aught buckshot, 9 rounds of slugs. That's a big old ball coming at someone if you want to use slugs. I don't really recommend that for self-defense, but having a few, maybe in your stock, if you have a stock like this, a speed-fed stock, have a couple extra rounds of buckshot on the other side and a couple of slugs on this side just in case, can work out very well. And the good thing about a shotgun, if you have to shoot a couple of times, boom, boom, and you have a situation where you are behind cover, something like that, you have extra rounds, you can take the rounds out of your stock or out of whatever you have it in and actually put those into your magazine that's under the shotgun. You can put those in there like so and reload without actually taking your eye off the target or even taking your gun off the target. You can hold like this and get your shell out, stick it in, and push it in to reload to have full capacity again. That way you don't shoot empty. It's not like taking a handgun, for example, and shoot a few times and then change magazines. you can load this without actually taking the magazine out. It's a tube actually with a spring in it, so it's not really a magazine. And this definitely works. It's pretty easy to use, but the recoil can be pretty brutal. You can go to a 20 gauge for different models, something like that. Have a little less recoil. You get ammunition that's specially for lower recoil, and very reliable, very functional. And again, ghost ring sights. I love ghost ring sights on my self-defense weapons. Anyways, guys, hope this video helped. If it did, give it a thumbs up. If you have any more advice for anyone, leave it in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there.